Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe. We got a little Nick Wright, some Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds on a Friday morning. It is raining and cold and miserable in New York, but it is still Friday on the calendar, and we will definitely take that.
That's right.
Great games coming up this weekend. We're going to preview all of them, but we got to start with a great game last night. Thursday Night Football, Colts and Titans. Friendly little competition they got going in the AFC South. This was close in the first half, but Phillip Rivers and the Colts scoring 24 unanswered points to finish this game off, take home the W, and reclaim divisional supremacy. 34-17 was your final in this one. Nick, I'll start with you. You had the Colts going 8-8 this season. They're now 6-3. You think this team's overachieved?
Well, here's what I think about the Colts. When Phillip Rivers doesn't turn the ball over, they're a very dangerous team. Their 3 losses, 2 of them he had multiple turnovers. The other loss was a loss to the Ravens where he had 1 turnover. The Ravens just outclassed him. So I think they can be a dangerous team, particularly when Darius Leonard's out there. And I think we have to give massive credit to Frank Wright, who the further away he gets from that Super Bowl championship in Philly, where he was the offensive coordinator, and the more we see of his teams and their aggression on 4th downs, their game plans, the more credit he retroactively gets for that aberration year Philadelphia had en route to the Super Bowl. So I do think they can be dangerous. With that said, they absolutely still could go 8-8, and I think the winner of this division goes 9-7. This was the best win of the season for this Colts team by a mile. They hadn't beaten a good team yet, and they put a beat down on a good team, particularly in the second half last night. So I give them credit, but this doesn't, add them to the championship contenders for me. But, Brandon, when your guy Phillip Rivers takes care of the football, they're a hell of a team to play against.
That's right. That's right. And Jenna, I'm not surprised because this is one of the teams I picked to be my dark horse before this season because of Phillip Rivers. And when you look at last night, he played smart. And like Nick, what you said, you go back to that Jacksonville game, you go back to that Cleveland game, he made some really bad decisions. But his numbers aren't really bad when you look at it. And if you really turn on the film, he's not playing that bad outside of some bad decisions in a few games.
That was like 4
He
bad.
played smart last night. He looked really good. It's almost like Chris Ballard came down from the box and told him before the game, like, hey, buddy, if you don't lead us, somebody else will. And I mean, like, right now. Like, he was explosive. He was quick in his decision-making. The ball was coming out of his hand beautifully. So when you look at Phillip Rivers, if he continues to make great decisions, this team could be really good. Their defense is #1 in the league. They're playing really good ball. Phillip Rivers, make good decisions, and you will be right where you need to be at the end of the season.
Hey, Pep, can you put me on a 4-box, please? Because I want to talk to the entire team, which I consider part of my extended family. And you know what? When you guys have success, I feel like I have success. And that's sort of like what buoys the show. But there's a flip side to that. And I think we all have to sort of take responsibility for each other's actions. So with that said, it's kind of like when your kid breaks a window. You have to go over there with them and be like, hey, we're sorry. And because one of the teammates is really kind of like, there's something called take integrity. They refuse to apologize, but I will because kind of like that's my role on the show as the family. Yeah. So Phillip Rivers, this is a letter from First Things First. I'm not going to reference who said this stuff, but on behalf of the show, after another 300-yard game and making your team in first place, I'm sorry for saying that you were washed. I'm sorry for saying that they should have signed Cam Newton instead of you, and saying that you didn't believe in yourself because you took a job at a high school before the season's even started. And I'm also sorry for making fun of your bolo ties. Now, that's not necessarily Kevin Wilds who said any of those things, but on behalf of the show, I would like to offer my apologies. Anybody would like to add anything? Nick, if you would like to add anything, go ahead. But that's the apology
I'll
from the
add
show.
something.
Okay.
When that letter gets sent to Phillip Rivers, it's going to be signed by Kevin Wilds, by Brandon Marshall, by Jenna Wolfe, and that's it. I apologize for nothing. And I want to be on the record here. Because Phillip Rivers has led the Colts to, let's go over the list quickly, wins over the Vikings, the Jets, the Bengals, the Lions, the Bears,
right.
who I was wrong about, I will
13-27 and 1.
And the awful Titans defense does not remove any of my concern or criticism. When I say if he takes care of the football, they're good, Jenna, it's true, but I don't think he's going to take care of the football consistently. And so I apologize for nothing, Jenna, for nothing.
Well, he's right.
I don't think anyone thought you would.
Yeah, no, he's right. The wins that they got, 13, 27, and 1 against those teams. That's those teams' record. And moving forward, the rest of the games is against teams that are above 500. It can be scary, but if he protects the ball, Nick, if he protects the ball, this team can be really good.
Let's set the Colts aside for a second because we should talk about the once red-hot Titans. They were off to a blazing start. They have since lost 3 of their last 4 games. They now have the Ravens in another matchup with these Colts coming up next. So, Brandon, I'll ask you, have you lost faith in the Tennessee Titans?
I have not, because of one man, Coach Vrabel. This dude, outside of Brian Flores and McVay, where we talk about next level coaches, he's right there. He's next level. For that reason, he can turn this thing around. He gets it. Let's go back to last year and looking at what made this team really good. They played really good defense. They ran the ball, and play action was working for them. It's similar to what the Cleveland Browns figured out this year, their identity. But when you look at it now, that defense isn't so good anymore. They need to figure out how to stop people. Right now, they're trending in the wrong direction. But I believe Coach Vrabel can turn it around. If it isn't him, then it isn't anybody.
Well, unless Vrabel's going to line up and play his old middle linebacker spot, I'm not sure how he's going to turn it around. The Titans' defense stinks, and Ryan Tannehill, it was not his fault last night. They got a punt blocked. Goskowski is not good anymore. Teams, missed field goal. So they had a lot of issues. I'm not putting this on Tannehill. But the whole, remember when we were putting up graphics, it's like, wow, Ryan Tannehill's last 16 games. It's Aaron Rodgers' prime MVP season. He's now gone back to being what he is, which is an above-average NFL quarterback. And if you just have an above-average quarterback and a bad defense, in the modern NFL, no matter how great your running back is, you're not a real contender. Wilds, going into the year, I said the AFC had 2 title contenders, the Chiefs and the Ravens. That list has been expanded to 3 because Brandon's beloved Steelers obviously deserve to be in it. But before the year, during the year when they were 5-0, or sitting here today at 6-3, at no moment have the Titans been a true championship contender, and I still feel that way, Watts.
Yeah, I heard someone say, we always talk about offense, defense, and special teams. And I'm like, no, we don't. We don't talk about special teams at all. And so the game was a little bit of an aberration because the Titans put in this new punter. And Jenna, you know I'm a sentimental guy. I love, happy stories. This one kind of played out the other way. Look, former Vogue punter Trevor Daniel was driving for FedEx for Titans when GM John Robinson called him to come in for a tryout. Dropped off 2 more packages, drove to the facility. Well, how'd that play out? Not great, but it's not all his fault. You're pinned in the end zone, so you hit a 17-yarder, and then this one gets blocked. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Are you supposed to spin around and head upfield? Not blaming you. And Goskowski, look, he's won them a few games too, but it's probably an issue. I just don't know what they do. You get rid of Goskowski, so they play in 13 more days. So well, I think if special teams just plays adequate, we'll have a better sense of who the better team is, Jenna.
And look what we just did. We just discussed special teams, buddy. You got it in there. We did it.
True,
all right, moving on to America's Game of the Week. And Russell Wilson finding himself in very unfamiliar territory, an unfamiliar role for Mr. Unlimited against the Rams. That's next. First things first.
He's been here before.
9 wins the AFC South.
Hey, big matchup out in the NFC West. 6-2 Seahawks, 5-3 Rams. This is America's Game of the Week. It's on Fox. Seattle coming into this one as the underdogs. It's unfamiliar territory for Russell Wilson. But it was Russ who turned the ball over 4 times last week, and it is his defense giving up more than 30 points per game. So, Brandon, we're going to keep it simple. Who wins and why?
Look, you don't have to ask me that question, Jenna. I'm always going to go with the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. But it will be a really good game. This comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's Russell Wilson. I love him. He's the ultimate competitor. He's still leading in the MVP discussion, but he has to protect the ball. When he protects the ball, they win. He can't turn it over. Like, we know what this team is. The team don't play really good defense. They like to run the ball. They also like to take shots. It's super simple football, right? So now, what are they doing to try to combat their struggles on the defensive side? Well, they're starting to blitz a little bit more. You know, I talked about this week in and week out. Look, they do the same thing over and over again. When you look at the Seattle Seahawks, everybody know what they're going to do on the defensive side. They're so predictable. That's why they're getting gashed. So the last 2-3 weeks, what have they been doing? They've been blitzing a little bit more than anybody in the league. Almost 50% of the time, they're in cover 0, they're in cover 1. And that's a problem because Sean McVay's on the other side. And he's looking at it like, that's how we just lost against the Miami Dolphins. That's literally how they lost. He could not find a guy, an outlet when the Miami Dolphins was blitzing all week. That's all they've been working on. Yep. Throwing extra pads, extra defenders in the lanes, the passing lanes against Goff, making him get the ball out quick. So it's going to be an interesting game, but I'm never going to go against the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, Nick.
So I will occasionally go against Russell Wilson, but not this week. So here's what we know about Seattle. As long as Russ doesn't turn the ball over a bunch, they win. Now, it can be close. It can be by the skin of their teeth, but they find a way to win unless, when have they not? Arizona, 3 turnovers. This past week, 4 turnovers against Buffalo. I don't think Russ is going to have back-to-back horrible games, so I do like Seattle. What I am more interested in, to be honest, is, are the Rams good? So you look at their numbers, they got 5 wins. They have the number 2 pass defense, the number 5 rushing defense, the number 2 overall defense, and the number 2 scoring defense. You say, okay, at the very least, they're a great defense and an offense that has its moments. But then you look at who those 5 wins have come against, and you're like, okay, Dallas in week 1, Philly, who's a mess, the Giants, Washington, and Chicago. And I know Chicago has 5 wins, and I picked them to make the playoffs, but I look like an idiot, and that offense is the worst in the league. So it's the Rams have 5 wins, but they don't have a good win on their ledger yet. So how good are they? So what I anticipate in this game, Wilds, is both defenses look bad. Seattle's defense looks bad because it is. The Rams' defense looks bad because it's up against Russell Wilson. And the Seahawks find a way to win. There is a little bit of a concern because the Rams have the extra rest here. But I think Seattle, in a close game, a close high-scoring game, finds a way to win in a game that Jared Goff looks good but doesn't win.
Yeah, so I think that's the issue. It's always like they'll find a way to win, and we know how they'll do it. We know it'll just be Russell Wilson pulling something out and throwing the ball all over the field, and occasionally the other team will catch the ball. But Brandon, for you, you're so confident at this point. It's on the edge of dangerously confident. And I did a quick Google search. I'm like, who does this remind me of? And I went, Captain Edward Smith. You know who Captain Edward Smith is? He's the old he's the captain of the unsinkable Titanic. And he was so confident, like, let's just keep on going. No worries. I'm so strong. I can get through anything. I'm going to read you the teams that give up the most points in the league. And you tell me what the sort of like the common denominator is on all these guys. I'll give you a hint. It's not that they're going to the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys are the worst. Jacksonville, second worst. Then Seattle, who are going to the Super Bowl. Then the Texans. Then the Lions. Then the Jets. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just the guy. I'm not the captain of the ship, but I'm the guy with the periscope being like, hey, Captain, there's like a monster iceberg ahead. There's a monster iceberg.
But you're
so
also,
if you want to, like, you know, navigate a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let's drive right to it. Go for it.
But you're also the guy, when we open up the show, that just jumped on Nick about Phillip Rivers and take integrity. So what do you want me to do, Wilds? I picked these guys before the season. Do you want me to have take integrity or not? Right? Like, I'm going to ride with them until the wheels fall off.
I got a question, but I have a question. Take integrity notwithstanding. Do you think, Brandon, from watching the film of this Seattle team, that some of their defensive issues can be fixed? Or do you think it's endemic to this team and this coaching staff that's going to last throughout the year? Because I'm not telling you to abandon ship. I would never tell you to do that.
Yeah.
But if you don't think they can be fixed, then they can't win the Super Bowl. The only way they can win the Super Bowl is if the defense gets at least marginally better. So what can they fix?
Yeah, I think your take on your original take was absolutely right. You know, they have to play perfect with that defense. Russell Wilson can't turn the ball over. And if he does that, they're going to be in the game. And, you know, probably 60-70% of the time when he's in the game, he's going to come out victorious. But there's some games where you may lose. And you can't hang your hat on that to win a Super Bowl. So you're absolutely right. Like, that defense has to figure out a way that change some of those things that were, some of the issues that they have where they're just absolutely getting gashed. And I think because they're implementing the blitz now in the last couple of weeks, they're trying to find a new identity. They're predictable.
Okay.
They have nothing in the secondary. They're banged up. So they have to find a way to get home, and it seems like that's what they're relying on. But that could be really dangerous because now you're putting this banged-up secondary and guys who are just average in harm's way because they're playing cover 0 and cover 1, Jenna. So now if the blitz doesn't get there, now you're going to see some even bigger plays and bigger chunks.
And it's getting late into the season to make any big changes on that defense. All right, we'll have Michael Vick in a little bit later. We'll talk about this some more. But we got another big matchup this weekend. Panthers hosting Tom Brady and the Bucs. Carolina quarterback Teddy Bridgewater ready for all the tough questions. Take a listen.
Eddie, why are you wearing that?
I'm here to throw a flag on any question that I don't want to answer. No, I'm just playing. I just came from work, my other job, Foot Locker. So, yeah.
Mike, Solarte, you want to ask the next one?
Is there a reason that you are working at Foot Locker?
Well, when you got a punter who is 100% on the season completing passes, man, he makes it tough on you. So trying to find another way to generate some income.
Back here on First Things First. Time to make our picks for Super 6. Here we go. One of the matchups. Texans at Browns. Deshaun versus DeBaker. Nick, give me a winner, and by how many?
I got the Browns by 9, and then on our individual show Super 6, I have Jenna Wolfe text during the game at 0 because the Browns and Baker are going to be playing well, so Jenna's going to be
That's not why.
quiet as a church mouse during this football game. But
You told
Brandon,
me you don't
I
want
got
me on your
Browns
group
by 9.
text anymore, buddy. No. Tell America. You have
but Nick-
blocked me and muted me from texting you.
Well, I haven't blocked you,
I'm
just
over
muted
it,
you.
Nick.
Yeah, I just don't know when you
You're the
text. It's
worst.
true. It's a true story.
Unmute me.
Brandon.
Well, listen, I don't know about texting and all that, but I do know about what's going on in Texas. They signed my guy Josh McCown, the secret weapon. I think that offense is going to turn it around a little bit. So I like Deshaun Watson and the Texans by 3, Nick.
Yes.
You know, I always go with the America's foremost prognosticator, Nick Wright. So I'm also going Browns by 9. Nick Chubb is back, and the Texans can't stop the run or keep good people in their front office. So I'm saying big win for the Browns.
All right, I know I don't usually go in on this, and I don't know anything about points, but I will tell you the Browns probably won't win this game. I'm going with the big probably. Make sure you get your picks in for free before kickoff on Sunday for your chance to win big money. For more information, you can always head to
Monday,
the Fox
Brandon and Jenna picked the Texans.
Right,
I
so
got,
when
I
the
got
Browns
Brandon
win,
on
we
my
can't
side.
say, oh, they were
Put it
I'm
on the
going with
script.
Brandon on
Well,
my
they were
side.
supposed to win.
Put it on the
I'm good
script.
with B. Marshall. Time for a little drawing a blank, folks. Couple of rookies squaring off in Miami. Future stars in the making. 5th overall pick, Tua. 6th overall pick, Herbert. Can't wait to see these two. But, Brandon, the player you're most excited to watch Week 10 is blank.
Hey, to whom much is given, much is expected. Russell Wilson, MVP.
Oh, goodness.
Look, you opened the door to this discussion. You're letting everybody else in this debate. And now it's time for you to shut this door. Quiet the haters. Nick Wright, I don't want to come up here on Monday morning and hear him talk about Patrick Mahomes and why he is the clear-cut MVP. Russell Wilson, let's go.
Well, in Russell's favor, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, the real MVP, doesn't play this weekend, so Russell Wilson should have a better game than Mahomes, who's going to be chilling, rested on his bye week. However, did you guys know there is a pass defense that might be worse than the Seahawks? It's allowing a higher passer rating than Seattle and has the fewest interceptions in the NFL. That pass defense is the Houston Texans. Who plays the Houston Texans this weekend? Oh, Baker Mayfield. So who am I excited to watch? Baker off a bye, rested, probably filmed 6-7 commercials during the bye week, just chilling, counting them checks, making money, infuriating folks, as the Browns are going to get to 6-3 on the year, eat up the Texans defense after a bad week for the Texans organization. So we're going Baker Mayfield. It was a hard week without him on my television screen. Glad to have him back this Sunday.
It's a hard week not having him on your television screen. You took the relationship to a new level. I'm going Joe Burrow. This could be a big win. And Brandon, you know I've been rooting for the Steelers. Oddly, I became a Steelers fan just because Nick hates them. All of a sudden, I got to root for Pittsburgh.
I don't hate
But I also like pettiness. And the fact that there was pushback on the Bengals Twitter, putting like, how dare they? How dare they tweet TJ Houshmandzadeh using a towel as a towel? Oh, the amount of affection for this towel. It's just, you guys named it terrible. Like, don't be shocked that other people want to disrespect it.
It's just more than a towel.
It's too much.
More than a towel. Sacred.
It's literally
sacred.
Not. It is not sacred. It is literally a yellow little towel that probably has a unit cost of 4 cents.
All right, so we mentioned Cleveland 13 times already. Baker, Browns, coming off that bye week, well-rested, looking to avoid an upset against the Texans. Good chance I'll be watching that game, Nick, you know, because I love games. Brandon, the team that should be on upset alert, Week 10, is blank.
Well, Jen, I wish I would have known that Wiles was going there with the last fill in the blank, and I would have changed this. This is a bit of a reach, but it is the Cincinnati Bengals playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? Big Ben hasn't practiced all week. The offense is, sometimes we look good, sometimes we don't. Defense, the last couple weeks is like, are they really the #1 defense, #2 defense? Are they a top 5? I'm not sure. And then Joe Burrow, he's been low-key putting it together the last couple weeks, just trying to get over that hump and get that win. Yep. So, big win last week for him, and this is a bit of a reach, but it could be the upset alert of the week.
I respect, Brandon, that you're going out on a limb there, because there's not a lot of intermediate spreads this week. Not a lot of 4, 5, 6-point spreads. It's either very small favorites or massive favorites like the Packers over the Jags. I'm going with one of the small favorites, which I rarely do. I think the Eagles need to be on upset alert against the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Quietly, has anyone noticed? Wilds, you should have been banging this drum. The Giants legitimately could have won 5 consecutive games. The Giants' last 5 games, they lost to Dallas with zeros on the clock. They beat Washington in the final minute. They lost to Philadelphia with less than a minute left. Failed against a 2-point conversion against Tampa with less than a minute left. And then they escaped against Washington. They legitimately could have won 5 in a row. Wilds, I think you're fighting Joe Judge's beat the Eagles this weekend. I can't believe I'm saying it.
I love Jones. Hey, stay tuned. Stay tuned for the same take coming up in 2 minutes, but more enthusiastic love for Joe Judge. I am going with the Ravens. Watch out, Baltimore. Scrappy little team out of New England, which you're 0-5 against in the regular season. Got a few playoff wins. But I'm feeling, Lamar doesn't like to, kind of some little tension there with his recent quotes. They're calling. If you think the other teams are calling out your plays, Bill Belichick's today calling out what you had for breakfast. He's been watching you, the entire season, your entire career.
Yeah.
Overnight oats.
He's definitely been watching. Belichick's definitely been watching. There's no question about it. I'm sure he's got film of it.
Some question. Okay. Any chance to take a shot. On to Russ and the Seahawks now. They're traveling to L.A. to take on the Rams. Russ and company needing a win, looking to avoid a 2-game slide. But Brandon, the team that most needs a win in Week 10 is blank.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a Wilds take here where, you really don't answer the question. All right, so here's my answer. The entire Seahawks defense, we don't need you guys to dominate. We don't need you guys to be really good. All we need is for you guys to slow down this offense and give Russell Wilson just another opportunity, because Nick Wright is right. It's going to come down to the last moments of this game.
So I'm going to actually answer the question, and I'm going to go with an odd name, or an odd answer. The Saints. And here's why the Saints most need a win in Week 10. Because, for twofold, really. One is they're coming off your best win of the year. If you give it back by losing to the 49ers, all that good work you did against Tampa is mostly erased. But the other reason is this, and this should mean a lot to Sean Payton and especially Taysom Hill, who I've always supported and had his back. I'm going to look like an idiot if the Saints lose. I have announced them as the division winners. I've explained how the Bucs are going to have to play the entire playoffs on the road. And if the Saints give a game back and all of a sudden that division's a coin flip again, I look like a doofus. So the Saints, take care of your business, beat the banged up 49ers. They're the team that most needs a win, Wilds.
Okay, I'm going with the Cardinals. Quietly, Kyler Murray is on pace for a 4,000-yard passing, 1,000-yard rushing season. Now, I know Mahomes is probably going to get the MVP or Russell Wilson, even though I think his defense is going to blow it for him. But there should be some award for Kyler because it's never been done before. For me personally, since we're just laying out our personal interests in this segment, Kyler, help me out, buddy. I've been supporting you the whole year. But you can't lose to the Dolphins and lose to the Bills and submarine my poor Patriots. Help me out here. Selfish take.
I love when he's quietly on pace for something, like he's tiptoeing his way, rushing 1,000 yards. On to Arizona now, where Kyler Murray, the aforementioned, and Josh Allen will face off. Both players top 5 in the MVP race. Both players looking to showcase their talent Sunday. But Brandon, the player with the most to prove in Week 10 is blank.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Tom Brady, come on, man.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's
Listen.
the right answer.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer.
It's the right answer. Go ahead.
That's
Elaborate.
What more do you want me to say? What more do you want me to say? Listen, I'm tired of arguing about the quarterback position with Nick. You are the GOAT. No one has ever done what you have done in all of sports.
Oh, you're talking about
Help
Brady.
me out here, buddy. I don't want to turn on it. I don't want to get on this show Monday and have to debate this guy, Nick Wright. Please help me out, Tom Brady.
Brady's the right answer, particularly because he's playing a team with no pass rush whatsoever. Carolina cannot get to the opposing team's quarterback. They're right alongside the Raiders and I think the Jags for the fewest quarterback pressures and sacks on the season. So Brady should look great this weekend. They're coming off a terrible loss. It's a wildly important game. No Christian McCaffrey again for Carolina. Teddy Bridgewater's spending his practice time shopping for bits for the press conference and jerseys and such. So Brady should look great this weekend. I expect Brady to look great this weekend. If he doesn't, however, I have a supplementary prediction. Brandon Marshall will take his first sick day of his entire time on First Things First. And it won't be a fake sick day. He will actually be sick to his stomach watching what we're going to have to do to Brady on Monday. But I think he's going to play really well. I think he's going to look really good, Wilds. But given the competition, he's the guy with the most to prove, Wilds.
I love it. Listen, my guy, Joe Judge, needs to win a game here. The last 3 losses have been by a total of 6 points. So let's beat up on Carson Wentz and the old Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Peterson's out here, still talking about Nick Foles for some reason. You know you had guys running laps and taping tennis balls to people's hands and doing this whole move. Look, if it's the weather gets nasty, you guys are prepared to squeak one out here. So Joe Judge and the Giants. Let's get it done this week.
All right, let's get back to some Thursday night football. Phillip Rivers passing who? Dan Marino last night in passing yards, which begs the question, is he proving his doubters wrong this year? We'll ask one of those doubters who's sitting to my left or my right. I don't know how it works. Next, first things first. Or 2 over from me. 1, 2, 3 over from me. I forget it.
What if it was just Quinn?
Back here, first things first, let's talk some basketball now. Lakers coming off an NBA title with 2 of the best players in the league, with the odds to do it all over again next year. You'd think they'd settle into that success, but no. Apparently, they're far from satisfied. According to a report, Lakers are interested in trading Kyle Kuzma and Danny Green for 4-time All-Star DeMar DeRozan. All right, Chris Broussard joining us now. Broussard, good morning. What do you think? Would this be a smart move?
I don't love it. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan is a much better player than either Kyle Kuzma or Danny Green. He would be a bona fide third scorer for sure, and he can also make plays for his teammates. Here's the problem: fit. Notice all those highlights. They were in the mid-range. DeMar DeRozan, it does not really fit what the Lakers need. The Lakers need 3 and D guys, and DeRozan is not good at either. Not only does he not make threes, he doesn't take threes. The last 2 years, he averaged 1 3-point attempt every 2 games. Think about that. 1 3-pointer every 2 games. The Spurs had to jump through hoops last season to fit around him because he's such, he just doesn't take threes, and he's a really good scorer. So I don't like the fit. If you notice, LeBron and Anthony Davis, they need spacing. They want and love spacing. And DeMar would not bring that. Their Achilles heel as a team last year, or their weakness, was their lack of 3-point shooting. They were in the bottom third in both the regular season and the playoffs. They would get worse in 3-point shooting if they made this deal. Look at LeBron's third stars historically. They become spot-up 3-point shooters. Chris Bosh in Miami, Kevin Love in Cleveland. We've seen off-the-dribble scorers struggle with LeBron, Isaiah Thomas and Derrick Rose. So, look, if he would come off the bench and own that second unit and be a scorer, maybe. But overall, if I'm the Lakers, I continue looking elsewhere for guys that are better shooters, 3 and D guys, than for DeRozan in this trade.
Chris, that's such a strong take. And that's shocking coming from a resident NBA expert. What do you mean it's not a good fit? This doesn't remind you of LeBron James and D-Wade? D-Wade wasn't known for his shooting. D-Wade wasn't in the prime of his career playing defense. This is really good for them. Like, come on, coming from a resident NBA expert, I am shocked. I love DeRozan.
Is Anthony Davis going to become Chris Bosh? Is Anthony Davis going to become Chris Bosh? No, Anthony Davis is going to play his game. It's like DeRozan's going to be exactly who he's been the last 7 years. A guy's going to come in and give you 20 points. A guy's going to come in a game, and a guy's going to come in and give you 5 to 6 rebounds. That's DeRozan. That's why this is such a really good fit. So I'm shocked that you went that way and was so strong with your take.
So I lean closer to Broussard's side than to Brandon's side. I don't hate it. And the reason I don't hate it is because, A, it gets Kuzma off the team. That would be great. Yikes. B, it does not tie up money long term. DeRozan makes a lot of money, but it's only 1 more year. So it would keep the Lakers in free agency for the following offseason when they can maybe target another true star or just fill out the roster better. And B, whether he comes off the bench or not, he could play most of his minutes with a bench unit and be that creator scorer they need. So I understand it. But what no one has mentioned is the biggest reason I wouldn't do it aside from the spacing. He is an aggressively bad defensive player. And the Lakers won the championship because they were the best defensive team in basketball. And Danny Green brought two things to you. One was defense, and the other was, even though in the postseason he could not make a shot, watch the games. Nobody was leaving him open. They still respected him in the corner. So he still created spacing, even if at the time he didn't deserve to create the spacing. So if I don't think this would make the Lakers worse, but I do think the floor would get compacted, and I think the defense would suffer greatly. I would far rather them target Dennis Schroeder if he were available, potentially maybe Victor Oladipo, but I don't think they're able to get him. But I think there are better fits, because if you're going to make a big move like this, I don't want to sacrifice shooting and defense. Defense, which was their calling card, Wilds, and shooting, which was their biggest need last season throughout the year and into the postseason.
Yeah, it also leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Like, the Lakers can add a piece, but you don't get to add a four-time All-Star averaging 22, 5, and 5. I'm not saying it's Durant to the Warriors, but it's in the same arena. And for a guy that's been nothing but loyal and was kind of...
What?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You're adding a star. You can get a piece.
Even close.
You just said you want Dennis Schroeder, you can get Dennis Schroeder. You can get Dennis Schroeder. That's fine.
Did
you can't get like an All-Star.
It's
not in the same state.
And DeRozan?
It's in the...
Did you really just do that?
I said specifically, it's not Durant to the Warriors. It's in the same arena. If Durant in the
It's
if
not
Durant's
even
on
on the
center
same
court,
planet.
DeRozan to the championship Lakers for a one-year rental is somewhere in the skybox. It's in the same arena.
No,
Broussard,
it's not.
since
It's not in the
DeRozan's
skybox.
unhappy, it is. You can go either way,
place to
Broussard.
be.
It's in the same arena. It's in the same arena.
I'll say
Broussard,
this. I don't hate it, but there are other things I would rather do than this. But I don't hate it. I'm not saying it will ruin the Lakers, but I just want to make that clear. I just don't like it a lot.
Oh, I thought you hated it. All right, real quick, Broussard.
I don't hate it, but I
lost it.
don't love it.
Go on.
You lost it. You got to grab these things when you
this
have the
one I'm
camera
in.
on you, Wilds. The other big story in the
Good
NBA,
point.
Russell Westbrook wanting out of Houston. Our friends over at Fox Bet listening to Kevin Wilds with the Knicks as the team most likely to trade for Russ, followed by the Clippers, Pistons, Hornets, and Bucks. Yesterday, though, Nick brought up a potential Russ trade to the Blazers involving C.J. McCollum, to which C.J., who was probably sitting around having a cup of coffee, relaxing into his morning, watching First Things First, only to hear Nick Wright mention his name in a trade, laughed out loud. And then he took to Twitter to continue the laughing of the out loud.
Hey,
Nick, C.J. doesn't want to see Russ in Portland, but where do you want to see Russ next season?
Well, hold on. This can't go unacknowledged. CJ, I was trying to get you to a better situation, buddy. Houston is a better city than Portland to live in. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, your fiance lives and goes to school on the East Coast. You'd be closer to her. Harden's better than Lillard. I was trying to do you a solid, and you send out the laughing emojis. So I'm going to speak a cold, hard truth about C.J. McCollum right now. Hey, C.J., your wine stinks. You gave us all those bottles when you were on the show. We took them. It's no good. Your wine stinks, CJ. Take that. You're gonna knock down my trade proposals when I'm trying to help him out. All right, to answer this question, here's the deal on Russ, Broussard.
Wine was
I don't think a winning team wants him. I don't think a winning team wants Russell Westbrook. I think Russ, if he's going to run his own team, that's fine. I think it's going to look a lot like what the Thunder looked like the first year without Durant. High usage, ton of fun, Russ going 1,000 miles per hour, playing inspirational basketball, and then fighting for 45 wins. Russ has not evolved, and at this point, with $132 million left on his contract for 3 seasons, Broussard, I do think Wilds is right that it's going to be a team such as the Knicks that just wants to compete for the playoffs, not for a championship, unfortunately, for my guy Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, look, if I have to answer the question, where do I want to see him next year? I'm going to be honest. Houston. The best thing for the Rockets and for Russell Westbrook is to kiss and make up. Because as Nick said, no contenders really looking to have him. So if Russ leaves, he'll go somewhere, put up big numbers. Maybe maybe make the playoffs. But his days of playing significant postseason basketball will be over. For the Rockets, you're not getting a current star in their prime for Russell who's going to make you better or maybe even what you are right now. So the best thing is for all of them to sit down, Raphael Stone, the new GM, Steven Silas, the new head coach, Harden, sit down, work it out, and come back next season. If they can't do that, then yeah, I'd like to see him with the Knicks if they can't do that.
Yeah, CJ, I got your back, man. Hey, Nick is just a little salty right now because his take wasn't that good. He's used to always getting his way. The wine is amazing, brother. But look, Wilds, I think you get what you want here. I really do. To answer your question, it's the Knicks. You've been talking about it for a while now. You've been trying to get every star that you can to the Knicks. This guy, man, he's still playing at an extremely high level. I think it will be good for basketball and also all of sports. I played for the Giants. I played for the Jets. I used to walk those streets, the concrete jungle, and all you hear about is the Knicks, the Knicks, the Knicks, the Knicks. People want to see the Knicks compete. People want to see them competitive. If that happened, man, the Garden be rocking. It'd be great for sports.
That's right. It will be rocking. It'll be empty with no fans, but it will still be rocking in our hearts and sort of in our minds. Here's the thing, Broussard. If you're in the West, if he stays with the Rockets, anything short of a championship, I would say, is a failure. Even Western Conference Finals, if they flame out and Harden has another dozen turnovers, and they'd be like, oh, the Rockets, here we go again. They failed. If he comes to the East and on a 72-game season, you win 40 games, and you sneak into the 7 seed, he would be a hero, and he can get another triple-double. He does care about it, obviously. I think this makes sense for the organization and for him personally.
Well, I give you that. No matter how well it works with Westbrook and Harden, if they make up, they're not winning the West. They're not getting close to winning the West. So I'm with you on that. But if I'm the Rockets and I trade Westbrook for young players and assets, guess what? I need to probably trade James Harden. And I would send him to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons and then try to build around Ben Simmons. Put shooters around Simmons.
I like that.
Now Harden.
If you trade
Harden,
Harden, then maybe you just keep Russ and let him have the team. Then he gets his own team. It's Houston.
We will continue to discuss. First, a little football, though, and 2 more names to possibly toss in the ring for NFL MVP. We'll tell you who they are next. First things first.
Oh, we got a fact error on the screen. Josh Allen's not in the MVP discussion.
All right, moving on to the NFL. We got a fun one for you Sunday night. Ravens and Patriots. Ravens cruising along at 6-2, on track for another playoff appearance, while the Patriots missing car parts, hitting potholes at 3-5, with the playoffs now just a pipe dream. But Lamar Jackson knows that beating Cam Newton won't be easy. Said, quote, game recognized game. He's the OG Superman. Okay, Wilds. Pats need a win Sunday.
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence in your guys pulling off the upset?
Irrationally at 10. We had a huge win against a historically great franchise last week. And be honest with you, Mike, I'm not that scared of the Ravens. The regular season, we own the Ravens, 5-0 in Foxborough. And listen to this. The Ravens, yeah, they're the #1 rush offense, but guess what? We're number 4. You run for 170, we run for 160. Guess what? Your passing offense, terrible, 31st in the league. Granted, we're 28th, but 31st, 28th, we're slightly better. So that and a little bit of like, I need to be confident because someone needs to believe in these guys. I'm feeling good. I'm at irrationally confident 10, Mike.
He's admitting it. He's admitting it.
First of all, to my man Lamar, I'm the original Superman OG, man. I got it tatted on my hand, man. Yeah. Come on. Stay in respect. Stay in respect.
Thank you, man. I was waiting for that.
Mad love to Cam. Mad love to Cam, man, and respect for what they was able to accomplish last week. It was a big win, and I say a big win against the Jets last week. A momentum builder, give them some confidence. But the game against the Baltimore Ravens will be a game that we'll be watching close, and the game that Cam Newton has to pull out. If you know, he wants us to continue to talk about him moving forward, the future in New England. You know, something has to happen here. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough matchup, a tough game for them to pull out. But anything is possible. Anything is possible.
I got bad news for my old buddy Kevin Wildes, America's favorite television personality. You guys barely escaped what would have been the lowest moment for your franchise since the divisional round playoff loss to the Jets in 2010. You remember that game? You guys tried to fake punt. It didn't work. Rex Ryan beat you. You hadn't won a Super Bowl in 7 years. The previous year you had lost in the same round. It looked bleak. And then you guys got back to the Super Bowl the following year. You lost to the Giants again. But that was the low moment of the last 15 years, that game. That would have been trumped this past Monday night. Instead, I think it gets trumped Sunday. Because not only do I think the Ravens beat you, I think they make you look amateurish. This Ravens team ran for 200 yards on the Patriots last year. A Patriots team that was far better without the opt-outs, far better defense, far better team, and they got beat 37-20. If we know anything about this Ravens team, Brandon, it is against every team in the league that isn't a top 5 team, they kick the crap out of them. And the Patriots are not close to a top 5 team. So I think Lamar will look great. I think the Ravens will look great. And I think the Patriots falling to 3-6 are going to be doing some serious soul searching all week, Brandon.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. But look, Kevin, I'll ride with you. If Vic don't want to ride with you, if Nick don't want to ride with you, I'm going to ride with you. But we also got to keep it real with each other. Yeah, you're going to take a ride. Look, you got Bill Belichick. He's the greatest of all time. We could potentially throw Josh McDaniels as one of the greatest or the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. No you have a winning culture. You guys know how to win. This isn't a team that don't know how to work week in and week out. This team gets it. They've been doing it for 20 years. But the reality is the confidence level should be at 2. Because Nick Wright, you are right when it comes to this very one thing. I'm riding with you, Kevin.
Terrible friend.
Kevin, I'm riding with you, but we got to be real. It's going to be tough.
No, you're not.
But this could be a moment. This could be a moment if we don't come right that we will be blown out the stadium. This could be serious damage to the New England Patriots.
You are the worst.
Whole aura.
You are the worst. Stop. You are the worst. You are the worst friend I've ever had in my entire life. I am drowning. And I say, Brandon, can you throw me the life preserver? And you said, yes, Kevin, I will ride with you. I will throw you the life preserver. And then you throw it within the boat. I'm like, no, dude, to me. Not just like you can't put it at 2. It has to be to me. Mike, in all honesty, the one thing we know about the Patriots is that they take away what you do best. We know that the pass to run ratio of the Ravens is overwhelmingly run. So it feels to me like Bill Belichick's like, listen, I don't need a crazy game plan. I just need to come up with a scheme to stop the run. And if Lamar wants to air it out like he's wanted to and like Hollywood Brown, if that's the way we lose, so be it. But if we lose via the run, when everyone in the world, including the opponents who are calling out the plays that the Ravens are running, if we lose that way, I'll be really disappointed.
You know what, Wiles? I was just thinking about, the game as a whole in its totality and who wins and why and what can be the deciding factor in this game. And I know Bill Belichick is great at taking away what teams do best offensively. And for the Baltimore Ravens, it will be the run game. But I was thinking this will be the perfect game for Lamar to get his passing game back on track. Yes, everybody's calling out plays in the run game at the offensive line, at the line of scrimmage. Okay, that's going to happen. He might as well get used to that. But now, flourish in the passing game, bring the passing game to life. New England got a shot because they're going to recognize, just like everybody else, what the Baltimore Ravens are doing. Now, what they have to do to combat that is now just stop the passing game. If they do that and Cam can generate some offense, the team got a shot, Wow.
Boom.
No,
Mike's back in. Brandon, you're out. Mike's in.
By the way, Wilds, I used to be a lifeguard. I'd get that life preserver to you. Another interesting matchup on Sunday. You got a pair of promising rookies facing off. Justin Herbert and the Chargers visiting Tua and the Dolphins. Mike Vick, is there anything Tua can do on Sunday to close the gap on Herbert in the Rookie of the Year race?
Yeah, Jenna, I think just get another win. That'll be win number 3 for him, which is amazing right now, you know, to the start of his young career. Justin Herbert already got 2 wins, a lot of stats and really not a lot to show for it. But I think, you know, as of right now, Tua already has just as many wins as Herbert, and he hasn't started as many games. So for Tua, he has a great defense. He's going to get a lot of opportunities, and they're going to win more games. So I like where this kid is at. I like what he's done over the last 2 weeks. I like that he has help, and he doesn't have to go out there and do it all by himself. Justin Herbert will continue to flourish. They just got to bring it all together. You know, it's the ultimate team game, like we all know. So I expect Tua to take the lead in this Rookie of the Year race.
That's right.
That's right. You know, the next couple of weeks continue to progress.
So, listen, I'm not a huge quarterback wins with a Z stat guy, but everyone else seems to be. And Tua's, despite not starting the first half of the year, is going to finish with more wins than Herbert. And so that is going to play in his favor. Now, full disclosure to the audience. Did I bet Tua at 12-1 to win Rookie of the Year right after they announced him as the starter? I did. Am I financially invested in it? Heavily. But I think there's a real path here because I did. 12-1. 12-1 in week 7. I'll send you the betting slip. Because I think the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. With that, and I think Tua's going to play great this weekend. With that said, the Chargers are on 5 consecutive heartbreaking losses. I do think they can win this weekend. But say it again, Jenna.
And Justin Herbert's played great despite the losses. He's got the numbers.
Oh, Herbert's been excellent. No. Herbert's absolutely been excellent. But if the season ends with the Dolphins at 9-7 or 10-6 and in the playoffs, and the Chargers at 4-12, then no matter what the stats are, I think Tua ends up getting the award. Now, this weekend, I think the Chargers are due for a victory. I think this is a game that, like all the Chargers game do, Brandon, comes down to the final drive, but somehow the Chargers actually find a way to win it. But if Tua can continue to play clean football, continue to play well, if the Dolphins end up being a playoff team, Tua will win Rookie of the Year. Mark it down and then start counting my money. That's a true story. Both of them.
Listen, Nick, if you honestly bet Tua when he was announced the starter, then you may go down as the greatest bettor of all time. Nobody thinks that way. It's not just about wins. It's about stats. And he's behind the 8 ball right now, Mike. But when you really peel back the layers, then you can look at it and say, you know what? He does have a chance. If he goes out there and throws 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, consistently win while this Miami Dolphins team is rolling, he could potentially be that guy. And Nick could potentially go down as the all-time bettor of all time. Like, this is unbelievable. Tua being in this discussion. Nick Wright being in this discussion about betting Tua halfway through the year.
I believe.
You believe him?
I'm texting you both. Oh. Thank you, Vic and Brandon. I just sent you the text. Look at the date. Check the date. I'm texting you both. Check the date, Wilds, while Wilds bleeps all over my take. Go ahead, Wilds. I just sent them the proof. Check the date on it and tell America.
I'm not going to. But you can't say like you're not a quarterback wins guy. You're largely a stats guy. Well, one of his wins, he had like 98 yards. So I don't know which one you want. I want to root for him. But I feel like Herbert's putting up such gaudy numbers. If you had a vote, and I know you always are trying to petition leagues for votes. If you had a vote, and you did not have a financial stake in it, wouldn't your rational, analytical mind say Herbert had the better year? If they don't,
right now,
if they don't make the playoffs.
But the year's only halfway through. Yes, right now, yes, but the year's only halfway done. And Wilds, you are correct. I don't have a vote. None of these leagues will give me a vote because they're not ready for it. It's not, at this point, I'm just lashing out because I should certainly have an NBA vote. I don't know if you guys saw the baseball MVP voting yesterday. Some middle reliever got a 10th place vote. I think he plays for the White Sox. There's a voting chicanery going running roughshod over these leagues.
Nick,
but the people who do vote
obviously
care about. The people who do vote care about quarterback wins. What, Brandon? You're going to tell them the date? Because the date's on there. Tell America the date. I bet.
No, you obviously don't believe too much because you only bet $20.
No, that's not true. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. He's lying.
One of the most important games on the schedule Sunday, Rams Seahawks. We'll tell you what's on the line.
How dare you, Brandon?
I would bet that.
It's $250 to win $3,000.
All right, guys. Time for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Talking Thursday Night Football, Colts and Titans. Got a friendly little competition going on in the AFC South. It was a close one in the first half last night, but old man Phillip Rivers, according to Nick, and the Colts scoring 24 unanswered points, finished the game, take home the win, and reclaim divisional supremacy. 34-17, your final. Nick, you had the Colts going 8-8 this season. They're now 6-3. Do you think they've already overachieved?
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose, but I also think 8-8, 9-7 is still around where they're going to end up.
On the board.
Here's the deal with the Colts. They've got a great head coach, and I think the further away we get from the Super Bowl Philadelphia one, the more credit we should retroactively be giving their former offensive coordinator, Frank Wright, the less for Doug Peterson. And when we see what Philly has looked like since then and what Frank Reich has done with the Indianapolis Colts. This Colts defense, when Darius Leonard plays, is as good as any defense in football, including the Pittsburgh Steelers. And obviously they have an excellent offensive line. The question I have for them right now is the same question I had for them, Brandon, going into the year. What type of quarterback player are they going to get? And Phillip Rivers, when he plays a clean game, this is a very dangerous team. Can play ball control, can obviously play great defense. I mentioned the coach, but how often is Phillip Rivers going to play a clean game? Not that often. And so you can say they've overachieved slightly. I think 9 wins this division. I think the Titans are pretty flawed as well. But I just don't think Phillip Rivers is going to string together multiple clean games in a row. And I think that puts a very limited ceiling on what they are, even if their best version of themselves is a really, really good team.
I don't know, Nick. What I saw last night is what I wanted to see all year, and one of the reasons why I picked them as my dark horse coming out the AFC. Look, one of the greatest indicators in winning games outside of points is turnovers. And Wiles, what do I always say? Ball security.
Job security, yours and mine, my friend.
Come on, buddy, stay
Trust
with
me.
You got to be quick here. Ball security, job security, yours and mine. So look, what we saw last night with Phillip Rivers, we didn't see in Cleveland. We didn't see in Jacksonville. We didn't see against the Ravens. If he continues to play smart football, this team is going to be dangerous. The greatest indicator outside of points is turnovers. He played smart. He played explosive. He looked really good last night, Wilds.
Look, they lost by 14 points. They play in 13 days. I'd like to see them play again with just normal special teams play because Trevor Daniel, it's a nice little Hollywood story. He got picked up off of the FedEx truck, but then he came in, he has shanked a punt, then he got a punt blocked, which is actually not your fault. And then Gostkowski missed a kick. But check this out. Former Vol punter Trevor Daniel was driving for FedEx when Titans GM John Robinson called him to come in for a tryout. Dropped off 2 more packages. First of all, hard work, great job. Drove to the facility. So look, if he just has normal play, and again, it's not his fault the punt got blocked. I think this Colts defense is scary enough that like they're slated to play the Ravens in the first round, Nick. I'd be very nervous because you can't run the ball on the Colts. So if this defense is as good as we think it is, and Phillip Rivers, again, is just adequate, I think it could be pretty good.
Yeah, but again, I'll just reiterate, and then we can move on, Jenna. The Colts are a scary team in this regard. If they play a clean game offensively, they have the other pieces to compete with the best teams in the league. You might say, well, they just played Baltimore and they got beat soundly, handily by them. Yeah. One of the big reasons, though, was Baltimore scored a defensive touchdown off a fumble after a Phillip Rivers swing pass, and when the Colts were playing well. I just don't trust. I didn't trust 32-year-old Phillip Rivers to play clean football games. You expect me to trust 38-year-old Phillip Rivers to play clean football games?
Yes,
I
people
don't.
change,
and
Nick.
so.
Nick.
No. He is who he is. Well, he's shown no indication that he's changing. He has shown no indication that he's changing. So I give them credit for the win yesterday. It's a great win for them. It's their first really quality win of the year, Jenna. But I think that they have a problem that is endemic to them that is not going to change, which is their quarterback likes to close his eyes and throw it up when things are going bad, and he's going to keep doing that. Exactly right.
Let us shift to this weekend's action. You got a big matchup out in the NFC West. 6-2 Seahawks, 5-3 Rams. It's America's Game of the Week on Fox. Seattle coming into this one as the underdogs. That is some unfamiliar territory for Russell Wilson, but it was Russ who turned the ball over 4 times last week, and it is his defense giving up more than 30 points per game. Brandon, we're going to keep it simple on a Friday. Who wins this game and why?
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. It's the Seattle Seahawks, of course. I picked them to come out the NFC and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to stick with them. They're struggling. But at the end of the day, we know who they are. They know who they are. They don't have a great defense. Wilds, you've been talking about it for weeks. Before it, people were talking about it. Oh, Russell Wilson, this offense. And Wilds was like, well, what about that defense? So we know who they are over there. But on the offensive side, they want to run the ball and they want to take shots. And for them to actually be successful, Russell Wilson has to play better, point blank, period. He can't turn the ball over. He knows that. Everybody knows that. I just talked about turnovers. If he protects the ball, Nick, this team will win. Now, it's always going to be a battle. It's always going to come down to who has the ball last. And in those moments, I'm always going to go with Russell Wilson because he's just the greatest of all time in those 2-minute drills.
So every Wednesday, we do the committee's tiers on this show. And a spoiler alert for next week. The Titans have been moved out of the circle of trust. They are no longer any type of contender. Well, I'm just letting you know because it leads to this game. If the Seahawks lose to the Rams, I'm moving them out as well. It would have been their 3rd loss in their last 4 games, and I don't think the Rams are very good. I know they're 5-3. I know they're the slight favorites, but the Rams this year are 4-0 against the NFC East, and their other win comes against the Bears, who might have the worst offensive attack this side of the Hudson River. Basically any team other than the Jets. And so I don't think the Rams are going to beat any Super Bowl caliber teams. And if they beat the Seahawks, it makes me question if they're a Super Bowl caliber team.
That's right.
I understand that McVay's got an extra week to prepare. I get that. And I understand that statistically the Rams defense has been extraordinary, but I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Russ enough. And Wilds, I don't think Russ is going to have multiple turnovers again. He knows their 2 losses are because he has 7 turnovers in those 2 games. I don't think he's going to make those types of mistakes. All week long in practice, the Seahawks are going to focus on double and triple teaming Aaron Donald, making sure he doesn't ruin the game. And I think the Seahawks find a way to win it this weekend.
Okay, so when we talk about tiers, here's the tier that Seattle's defense is really on. And Brandon, you're a very kind person, but the nicest thing you've ever said in your life is the defense is not great. The truth is they are one of the worst defenses in NFL history. So that's the truth, and you're just being a very nice person. It's a Friday. Here's the tier that they're on, Nick. Dallas gives up 32 points. The Jacksonville Jaguars give up 30. Seattle gives up 30. The Texans give up 30. The Lions give up 30. And the Jets give up 30. That's the tier they're on. So the committee, which I've mailed this to multiple times, and I've asked the committee to look at it and move them down, and it has fallen on deaf ears. If they lose this game, not only should they fall down, I also agree with you that Sean McVay does not get any credit for running up the score on the Seahawks. They don't. Jared Goff doesn't get any credit. Like Josh Allen coming off one of his career best games. Yeah, against a terrible defense. I'm sorry, Brandon, but this team is not good.
Listen, this is the game of the week. Guys, I want you guys to tune in to the blitz. What has the Seattle Seahawks done to combat that defense? While just highlighted, they're starting to blitz more. Sean McVay, what are they working on? They had an extra week to prepare. They lost to the Dolphins because of the blitz and what Brian Flores and that defense threw at them. So when you look at this dynamic and you're watching this game, just see how quickly Goff get the ball out of his hands. Let's see if they have an answer for what Seattle's doing. You're going to see corners coming. You're going to see KJ Wright and Wagner coming. That's going to be the matchup to watch, is Sean McVay and his game plan and how he's dialing it up.
And that's going to be the question for Seattle moving forward, because on the year, Wilds, their numbers are going to look bad. But can the defense in the second half of the season go from allowing 30 a game to 24 a game? 24 is not great, but with this offense, if they can allow 24 a game, they can win a Super Bowl. So let's just, starting with this Rams game, can they get more pressure on Goff? Can they start to affect the other team's quarterback, Jenna?
Stop teasing it.